Right, you've got to start the day with a decent coffee, aren't you? That is the way forward. So we've done that. Put a little cheesy clip in of the coffee machine because we're getting cinematic. So where were we? We actually got this far last time. I'm assuming you've watched the last video. If you haven't, pause, stop, go and watch the other one. All right, all makes a difference. I need to get monetized by the end of the year. I want to earn a penny. That's the goal, 1p, all right? So we're gonna start by making a guitar that's worth about 7p. So I'm not too much out of pocket, 6p in total. Right, there you go. So that's where we were. We're gonna laser engrave this today with our Diplomat or Plantation XO rum fucking label, whatever you call it. We're gonna get as far as we can with the neck. Just a rundown of what I'm actually gonna use. I took a chance on some Wilkinson tuners, which are fine. Wilkinson tuners are always great, I find. For a budget, they're amazing. These are open gear. Wait. Open gear. They are proper ye olde traditional. 8mm stems rather than 10mm. But we're going to go with these because they should be fine. Thank you to Northwest Guitars for supplying these. I paid for them. I've never had anything for free. So we're going to go black tuners. We've got a black bridge, just your standard Tele Goto copy bridge. And then we've also got some Warman humbuckers, which I've used before. And I'm going to spray these black as well. I've got some really expensive humbuckers. And honestly, these are fucking brilliant. So there you go, I'm using them. And I've used them over and over. They're going to stay in this guitar. I'm not taking this one apart. I'm going to leave it, I'm going to play it, we're going to see what it's like in a year. And then we can all say definitively, oh, pallet wood's got no tone. We can also say that pallet wood makes good guitars and shut up if you don't think so. Right, thank you. That's all I'm saying. Right, so let's just take a minute to get all serious, talk about fret slots. So obviously you're here because you want to know how to build a guitar, or you already build guitars and you want to see if you're doing it right, or if I'm doing it right, or whether you can just argue that I'm doing it wrong. Whatever your reason, we've got to cut fret slots. So let's just zoom out and I'll talk to you man to man. Let's do it cinematically so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. Right. Professionals would have cut there, but I want you to see the meat and potatoes. I want you to see how shit it is behind the scenes. Right, so in the old days, and indeed even now, some people will get the measurements online and they will know where their nut is on their neck, right? And they know some other measurements and they will find out where all the measurements go on their fretboard. And they will mark them tediously, normally with a caliper or something super accurate. And to that method, I say, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Fret slots have to be perfect and accurate. If your guitar hasn't got good intonation, it's a shit guitar. And this one just needs to look shit. It needs to play nice. So when I first started building guitars, I treated myself. I'm a carpenter. I love tools. Everyone loves tools. Love tools. So I bought myself these notched jigs and this amazing little overpriced but amazing bit of kit from Crimson Guitars. I say overpriced, that's harsh. It's expensive. Other people make the same sort of thing a little bit cheaper, but I've got no complaints about tools from Crimson Guitars. Everything they sell is brilliant. It's brilliant. I snapped a file once, a fret end dressing file, because I'm a heavy-handed knobhead. That's an endorsement from me. Buy your gear from there and you won't regret it. So this little jigger has got, I'm coming in. I hope you don't mind the little education. In this little jigger, if you can see it, there's a tiny pin in there. And that pin locates with our fret slotting ruler. So when that goes in, we can, there you go. So if we glue our fretboard blank to this, we can use that as a guide for the saw. Lovely jubbly, blah, blah, blah. And it gives us perfect slots, perfectly parallel, perfectly straight, perfect depth, everything, all right? Now, when I first got that, I thought that is amazing, all right? That's me set for life. But after you make 30, 40 guitars, you realize you don't want to be cutting fret slots by hand anymore. That's a proper ball ache. So this is a relic now that I keep in the cupboard to remind myself of early days in my first workshop. Insert here. And I'll tell you more about that another time. So we don't use that anymore. I use something else. I've built what I call Gigas Maximus. Now, Gigas Maximus is amazing because he fits on the saw like yay. I've got my little pin on there. I've got my little pin, little prick. Got a little prick, so I've been told. The astute among you will notice this is a completely different saw and a completely different fretboard because the last saw I used was shit and it, with the fretboard, are now in the fucking bin. Right, so the next port of call is to get our carbon fibre glued in, get the end of this neck plugged up, for which I'm going to use this cheeky bit of flamed maple because it's the perfect size. So we are going to glue our carbon in with PVA. Whoa! Controversy number 4, which some people will hate. I've glued it in with epoxy, I've glued it in with wood glue, I've glued it in with everything. And to be honest, it's sandwiched in there so tightly, I don't think it makes that much difference in this case. The router blade that I've used is perfect for the carbon. There's no wiggle in there at all. Like yay. PVA strip. PVA strip? Maple strip. In there, sandwich in the truss rod. Lovely. These are actually hollow carbon fibre Chinese crap. So I'm not sure they're even that beneficial, to be honest. I've since found out that a hollow metal tube is stronger than a solid metal bar. Go figure. Google it if you don't believe me. Fucking blew my mind. Okay, everything's in there super tight. Just wallop this off with a hacksaw, because it's what I've got with me. And I'm going to need to sand the top of that flat. Happy with that? Happy with that? I'm happy with that. Good, let's carry on then. So questions you might ask, fire away in the comment section. Start with good ones like, is there anything more stressful than a rebellious teenage son? No, there isn't. The next set of tools we need, drill bit. Drill bit, this is the technical part. Drill bit needs to be the same size as a cocktail stick or a little bit bigger, not smaller. I'm going to line this back edge up first. I'm going to stick a sneaky drill bit in there. I'm going to stick a cocktail stick in halfway. I'm then going to take it out. I'm going to turn it around so the point is facing upwards. And then we're going to do the similar sort of thing, but in the nut. Like yay. Same again. All right, now we're at that stage, we can glue that on. I'm just going to put some tape over my truss rod. There you go. Right, I'm just going to trim away the excess that I don't need. Now the thought process being that we don't want glue getting down in our truss rod channel, because that will mean that we could end up with a truss rod that doesn't operate. Now this tape is super cheap and super thin, so I'm going to leave it in here. Again, that's a comment section breaker. You can't leave a tape in the truss rod channel, the guitar will turn to ash. But I took apart a really expensive guitar, I took the fretboard off and they left a tape in, and this was a $3,000 guitar, dollars. So I do the same now, and I must admit the last probably 20 guitars I've built, It's made no difference whatsoever. I'm just going to spread that around. That is everything nicely PVA'd, all up to the edges. Proper job. So this is why we've put pins in. So now we can just locate our fretboard perfectly easily. Everything's going to hold in place and we can clamp the life out of it. So here we go with the speed up clamping montage. And voila, we'll leave that until this afternoon. Right, so here we are down in the dingy basement. Zooming in, I've decided to go with a Kraken logo. What I've done is I've put it in my really cheap laser engraver. This is an Amazon Niji laser engraver, and it's great at just engraving stuff. It can't cut anything, but it will burn this logo on pretty well. There you go, mind your retinas, alright? Hopefully it doesn't catch the workshop on fire. Workshop fork, never been washed. If you're going to take a salad to work, you put the wet bits in one pot, put the dry bits in another pot. With that is how you stay looking young. Apparently, it don't work for me. Don't forget your banana, folks, need the potassium. Sometimes I come here and I've only got a couple of hours, so there's going to be lots of, you know, oh, it's a new day and all the rest of it. Who cares? Who gives a shit? This is where we are so far. This is what's important, all right? We've got a fretboard glued on. Do you want to see it? Rather than zooming in, we could do a bit of magic zooming. That's it. Ugly. Ugly, all right? That's what we've got so far. So today, before I have to shoot off for the family roast, we are going to get this fretboard radiused, and I'm going to get the headstock scalloped, and then we'll see how much time we got. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. We're going to shoot over to the radius jig, we're going to get this locked in, and we're going to get the router going and get it radiused, and then have a tidy up, because it's a horrifically dirty job. I don't do a lot of hand sanding on the radius if I can help it, because that takes fucking hours. He swears a lot, doesn't he? He does swear a lot. Yeah, yeah. He sounds quite Cornish as well. So here is the radius jig. Guitar neck nice and secured into there, ish. Jiggerific goes on there, and then one radius. We're going to wallop our router on there, and then we can cut ourselves a lovely radius. So we need our eyes and ears for this, because noisy and horrible. And we don't want you all whinging. Oh, he's not put his eyes and ears on again. He'll only have himself to blame. Something up, Hans. You know who you are. You know who you are. So here's something to make you laugh. These Bosch routers are good for the money, but the adjustment mechanism is bollocks. And on this occasion, perhaps for your viewing pleasure, perhaps just for educational purposes, I had a slip up and we routed a massive great chunk out of the fretboard. So follow on, there's a little cheeky repair coming up. All lessons to be learned. Quick tip if you're using this jig for the first time, if you've got loads to remove, go side to side, and then for your last run, go the full length of the fretboard loads of times so that you don't have any annoying ridges that you've got to sand out by hand, and negating all the work you've done with a power tool. Lovely, thank me later. Wow, so how about that for a slip up? We had a slip of the router, and I've taken a massive chunk out of a fretboard. So if this was a nice guitar that I had great plans for, that'll be going in the bin now. But we're going to rescue it because we're building a shit guitar, so it don't matter. It's good practice. Here we are. Our tip cam, right. So we get everything flat-ish. Bit of mitre fast. Even mitre fast is a bit of a ropey option. Let's wallop it in there anyway. Yeah. I've got a lovely flat bit of granite. Thank you to Plymouth Stone in Plymouth. They've given me that. Bless them. So when I put things on here and I want to sand them and do whatever, I know that this is dead flat. I'm not going to sand any curves. We're not going to do anything weird. No funny business whatsoever. Now, people use all sorts of jigs and stuff for this to make sure everything stays parallel, but we've done the radius in on the jig, so everything should be pretty flat. We can check with the Rutland's Rulerosaurus, and that fretboard is as flat as you like. Now the next job is just to smarten up the edges of this, so I'm going to run this on the router table, and we'll just get this fretboard married in nicely to the neck, and go from there. Scallop, bit of scalloping. You can see I've got a 10mm router bit with a little guide bearing on there. I'm going to run that along, try not to get too much chip out, and just tidy up the edges of this fretboard. Then we'll do a bit of sanding, a bit of scalloping. Eyes and ears. Bit of love on the sander. So what you may or may not know is that a fender headstock is normally about 14mm thick, which is about there. And that's what's going to give us our Scollopalicious. I don't think that's a technical name, which PRS guitars don't normally have. So I'm going to chop a bit of that out with a bandsaw, and I'll be back. I'll be back. Steady on. Now we are going back to the Stone Age, because I made this contraption that I'm going to show you next, which is absolutely shocking, but it's what I'm using at the minute. All hail Frankenstein's monster. What a hideous piece of shit. So this is going to be for scalloping this. That's what we're going to use. I've got to fix a drill on there. We've got to hold on with our dear lives. This used to be a much more handsome contraption, but then I bought a big sander. I haven't really needed it, but we'll use it today just for a laugh. Definitely put ears and eyes on for this. Look at that. Lovely scallop. Childish, Paul. Childish. So up here is Big Jezebel. She is for neck profiling. One of the more extravagant jigs that I've ever made, but very useful for getting consistent neck profiles. So there you go, we are fixed. Now the way I've done it, we are going to get quite a parallel neck, which I actually quite like. Bear in mind, we want to be aiming for around about 21mm, and we've got 26 there. I'm staying away from where it meets the body, because I'll sculpt that by hand. Right, let's have a go at this. So I'm 90% of the way there. I can manipulate this carve still, but I know that I'm nice and parallel. All the way down there. We've got a good radius, we're consistent. Well, I'm gonna have a tidy up, and then we're gonna clamp this in, and we're gonna shape the back of our headstock. And then we'll see how the laser engrave's getting on downstairs, because that is taking about 42 years. Okay, I've got a rough line there, which you can see. So we're just going to manually scallop past that big ugly knot. Right, getting a bit closer now, so we'll go a bit manual. So soft. That does happen when you get in your 40s. One of the things I'm going to be doing over the course of the videos is trying to refine my methods as well, really, as we start building some more posh guitars and ones that we aren't making out of crap. Then I'm going to have a rethink about some of my methods, and I'll still show you all the fuck ups, because there will be lots. Right, we'll just cheat on here, mind your ears. Okay, so that's all I've got today, I think. I'm gonna have to tidy up. Let's just get this neck. That's looking all right. A nice little profile on the back. It's not a bad profile. We've still got to chop this bit away when we've housed the neck and the body and we know where the transition is between the two. I'll even do that while it's screwed in, and just so it's all seamless. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you think it's shit. Leave a comment if you think it's good. Like it, subscribe, share it to your friends. Just do me a favor, let's get a bit of traction. This is the road to 1p. Cheers.